is Andra Waagmeester. I'm the local chair of SWAT4HCLS, which in addition this year was in Antwerp. The conference started out as a conference on life sciences, which is biological data and life science data.
But the real focus of the conference and what it is evolving more to is actually on data integration, right? So how you bring data together in a meaningful way so that you can use them later for analysis.
Data for purpose and data integration. Please remember that. Thank you.
In this event, we're fortunate to have the presence of a very high-level group of experts in their respective fields, but extremely specialized. So that's one of the reasons why we're here, to remind them that as specialized and knowledgeable as you may be in your field, if you just correlate a little bit with your neighbor, which is working in a parallel field, related somewhat, but parallel, and combine your research findings with their research findings, you'll do so much more. You know, there's three types of innovations. There's the one that usually people think about. Innovation is like finding a new planet or a new genome or a new... That does happen and will continue to happen, but proportionally speaking, it's a minority of innovations that come from that. The second type is a combination from different sectors, in particular, combining things that have never been combined before. That triggers a brand new type of innovation. And the third type is just a reminder, in a way, that something that already exists in one part of the world, but is unknown in another part of the world where it could solve a problem, once it's brought there, becomes an innovation as well. And that's also part of us as a global alliance.
One of the many things Godin does is that we put people together. We helped a little bit for this workshop to bring you guys together, but we do that in many different ways, and we encourage people to do that on their own. What these people have in common is that they are very much involved on vocabularies.
So our goal is to essentially build the Internet of Food. That means building a language around food. So we have language around diseases, classifications of diseases, diagnoses, and drugs. Yet half of the top 10 killers are related to food, and we don't have any way of classifying food at the moment. And note, there's no international standards.
The idea of semantic web is that you use web addresses as names for things, and so that helps glue things together.
I think the big opportunities for the semantic web really are the idea that techniques and aspects of data science, which are coming across all disciplines, can actually be applied in the context of the semantic web. So I think the future is pretty positive, and I'm very optimistic for both fields as they sort of begin to grow closer together.
So I was sitting in my office one day and a fellow knocks on the door and says, I'm a trauma surgeon here in our hospital. I work in the emergency room. And I said, well, you know, I had the data science thing. What possible thing could we talk to each other about? He said, well, I want to tell you some things I've been doing. So he said, I noticed I've been doing this for 20 years. And a lot of the patients that come in with trauma are the result of car accidents. And I've noticed over the years that there is a correspondence between, ultimately I discover, the type of injuries they have, which are very often internal and are not immediately obvious, and the type of accident they had. And the reason he did this is because quite often patients die in the scanner. Because they come in, they don't know what's wrong with them, they do full body scans. By the time they figure that out, they've died. If you already, when the person arrived at the emergency room, you already knew the kind of accident they had, you already knew, based on these correlations, the kind of internal injuries they probably had. You could address that first and perhaps save lives.
Why do you think it's important to have food and agriculture at a healthcare and life science conference?
Well, agriculture is part of life sciences. Healthcare, the determinants of healthcare actually include nutrition. So nutrition is clearly related to our health, right? And agriculture, well, you know, if you're not eating good food, your nutrition is going to be poor.
We're very interdisciplinary, working across the genetics, genomics, field agronomy, socioeconomics, breeding. The pipelines are all the way through from germplasm development on to releasing the germplasm, the new varieties, and testing them in the field. And for that, of course, we have to work with a lot of different partners. And typically, because we're working in developing countries, our partnerships and our networks are quite strong in developing countries and span the private as well as the public sector, as well as the civil society organizations.
But what we're going to do is probably get together little clusters, right, where you have, say, data provider, a semantics expert, agribusiness problem experts, and then more data scientists. You know, we'll build little clusters like these, and they'll be like a SWAT team, right, to go and help solve the real data integration challenges. We really need to find ways to do rapid data integration of data that's out there in the public domain, really to help us create policy insights.
How many people in the room would consider yourself a scientist by what you do? Yeah. Almost. Wow, I think it's actually every hand went up. And if I were to do that in the bank or in the media company, if I got one, it would be surprising, right? So you're scientists, and this is what we were talking about during the coffee break. You have a different relationship to data than the ordinary person does. First of all, you have the whole idea of an experimental method where data plays various roles. You have a publisher, many of you have a publisher-perish mandate. You actually have to take your data or your conclusions, publish them, get them into a place where people actually want to share them. Here, it's pretty much the opposite, publish and perish. Bank of America will not allow me to tell Chase what I'm doing, not until 4 years later. The media company I keep referring to won't even allow me to say that they're doing this, even though their name is on this this public project, and so you could probably figure it out. Yeah, they're holding their cards close to their chest. They are not publishing this information. That is lifeblood to them.
So our challenge is not so much into pumping out more data. Of course, there is a need for more, but it's in maximizing the potential of data.
Out of 1,000 papers, you read one. So you are an ignorant. Compared to the knowledge that exists, that humankind produced in the field, you are an ignorant. So I am an ignorant in my field, and you are ignorance in your field. Because we are not able to read what has been published by our own peers in our own field. So we are ignorance. This is the name for that. Ignorance. It's not knowing what is not possible to know. It's not knowing what is possible to know.
Data is about people, right? It's like a language, yeah? So if you want to integrate your data, you need to integrate your people. It's a question of community and data and you know, the way to think about information and so on. So to bring people together is actually a precondition to have to be able to have a common data model. You need to have a common thinking.
I think any gathering that brings people together to discuss these issues is actually important. I actually like meetings that are around this size because I think it gives people plenty of time to really interact with each other as opposed to getting lost in a larger space.
Everybody has enough time to speak, give a good explanation, so I really like how it is shaped, and I'm glad I found this through recommendation. It seems to be sort of a hidden gem.
The presentations are wonderful, but the real work, I think, and the real value is during the break sessions when you're talking to people from different disciplines and learning about what they do and how they do it and how we can combine forces to make this new internet.
I find that it's always really crucial to get together once or twice a year and meet the people that you're interacting with, and it really makes the work a lot easier.
It's really nice conference, and I attended the last year's event in Rome, Italy, and I'm really looking forward to attending the next year events as well.
And hopefully see you next year.